You got your gang colors on. Good evening, everyone, and welcome to Be the Media. My name is Jenny Lee. Tonight I have with me Miss Dana.
Hello, guys.
And Miss Lisa.
Hi, everyone.
And we're completely unscripted tonight. Right before we came on, we started getting all sorts of speculative reports on social media in relation to stabbing that occurred around the Burger King area. We have people saying that there were police at Burger King. I have very reliable information that there was an incident on Allison Court, but Allison Court is the street that's right behind Burger King. So it's very likely that whatever did happen filtered into the street, and that's where the police responded, or vice versa. So it's all the same area. It's just semantics as to what is happening there. And this comes shortly on the heels of a New York Times article that it highlights Huntington High School in a very negative way. And it is surrounded by the current immigration issues with the Build the Wall and all of that's forefront federally. And there are rumors circulating that tonight's incident was MS-13 related. We do not have that confirmed. We do know that there was an incident, if not possibly more than one incident. So we're going to talk about all these crazy things that have been going on. But I mean, Happy New Year and welcome back. This is crazy.
Sure is. Happy New Year.
So the New York Times put out a very inflammatory article. If you print it, it's 26 pages. And after it came out, there were several denials about how words were being twisted. There were things that were being presented incorrectly. Most of the people who were interviewed in this very long New York Times article were part of the Huntington Matters executive group. They are the group who I often call a fraud on the show. You can go back and see that I'm always trying to make people realize that there is a group of unelected people who are claiming to represent 7,000 residents in this town. And you are not able to join their group to vote in leadership that actually represents you. And we now see the dangers of people having this type of consolidated power in what they can do to wreak havoc in an entire town. Our town has been turned upside down since this article came out, and there has been much fallout. We have not seen Officer Drew at Huntington High School since it's been about a week now, when the kids got back off of Christmas break. He was not present. Now, the incident that was written about in the New York Times was 2 years old. In fact, we covered on the Huntington View last year when the PBS article, which was pretty much the same thing, it was a repeat, wash, lather, rinse, repeat. And we covered that extensively then too. It's just completely out of left field why this would be brought up yet again a year later when no one can do anything to help Alex. So it's surrounded around Alex, who was deported over an alleged doodle and wearing blue shoes. And this is what's reported in the paper. This isn't necessarily the evidence anyone's been privy to, because you can't just march into a school and demand to see students' files. They're private. There's privacy laws. So Alex ended up in front of a federal judge, and the judge saw enough evidence to deem that he needed to be deported. And then Alex, a few months later, tried to sneak back in. And he got deported again. And because of that, they have the 3-strike or whatever, so that it's 10 years. So you can not apply for citizenship into our country for 10 years because you're now a felon because you were deported. Now you got caught and deported again. That's another 10 years. So now Alex cannot apply for citizenship for at least 20 years. So there's nothing we can do to save Alex. There was nothing to be gained here but embarrassment for our school district. And I have to say, the fact that one of our school board members was in that article and it was not divulged that he was also on the executive board of Huntington Matters bothers me. And it also bothers me that he is representing students at the high school that he has been elected to serve at as an immigration attorney. I don't care that he's an immigration attorney. I care that he's profiting off of the students he has to serve. To me, that's a lack of a moral compass. And I know a lot of people speak highly about him and they don't want to hear it, but I will never lie about how I feel. That was morally reprehensible.
It's a conflict of interest also, isn't it?
I think I don't know if there's any ethical laws being broken or if there's any written. I just know optic wise for our district, especially with everything that's going on with all of that, that's not good. And it's in, you gave this quote to this paper. You must have, because all your other executive board members are quoted with you. So it makes me believe he sought them out.
What I don't understand is why did the New York Times article come out 2 years later? Why now? Why? Is there any answer to that? It makes no sense.
Is he doing the work pro bono?
I have no idea.
And if I'm not mistaken, when this incident happened 2 years ago, wasn't he on the board then as well?
Yes, he does say in the article. I was reading, it was my client.
So you sitting on the board knew that to me, I mean, I don't know about anyone else, but to me, that's a little crazy.
Right.
Because you were on the board when this incident first happened. You said nothing. Now it's 2 years. Frontline did their piece. New York Times has now done their piece. Now you come out. So it took 2 years press plus all the other bad publicity to go for you to come out and say something. If he was your client, why was he deported? Why don't you have more information?
Well, I don't think that I'm not advocating that this information should be made public. No, I respect that there's privacy laws in regards to attorney-client privilege. I'm talking about what was admitted in the article. There's a lot of things that are being denied, but that's not one of them.
No, not to give out Alex's information.
Correct.
If you're on a school board, you know what's going on. So if this took place 2 years ago, this is not a new thing. Why are you just now speaking up? Is it because all the cameras and all the attention is now on the Huntington High School?
He got really teary-eyed at the school board meeting.
I heard.
He was very emotional. He got a standing ovation because he was so tender. He's a hero now, right? And meanwhile, he's probably the one that helped wreak havoc here. He definitely did. I mean,
why is he a hero?
Well, at the school board meeting, because his speech, you have to go back and listen to the school board meeting. It was so touching about how everything that we need to do to fix our district to make it more inclusive. In fact, there was people who spoke about our school needs to be a sanctuary school. They had a 4-page list of demands of policies that they want changed. One of them including, I believe that if there's like an incident at the school with a student, the school is not allowed to share that with the police without the parents' permission.
Oh, okay. So we should have open school doors and let anybody do whatever the hell they want so we can have more stabbings whenever.
Can I tell you, can we not let it go unnoted that even though we don't know whether this is MS-13 related or not, there was definitely an incident tonight, and Drew's been gone a week, and we haven't had an incident since then. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Everything's been nice and quiet for a long time. We've been doing very well. We've cleaned this place up. We've worked hard in our district with everything we had to go against. Why were shots fired across the bow with this? And now we've lost Officer Drew on top of it. This is infuriating.
And kids have to go to school tomorrow knowing that I mean, there definitely was a stabbing, right? We don't know if it was MS-13 or any of the other gangs that we have growing rampant in this town. But it was, someone was stabbed.
Dana, hold on, Lisa. Dana, when wasn't Officer Drew just given an award by the NAACP? It was like 2 years. Yes.
He actually received I think it was a prestigious award too. He's helped a lot of people. But the thing that really is bothering me right now is that even though I'm not in school district 3, I did get a glimpse of Xavier Palacio's speech and how he became so emotional. My question, because maybe I just think things through way too much. My question is, why didn't he have the same energy 2 years ago? Why didn't he come out with the information as opposed to a newspaper coming out with the information 2 years ago? If you're so much protecting, the immigrants and you're an immigration lawyer, wouldn't you seek those things out? Why did you have to wait till the New York Times did an article and now you're all emotional? Your father lives in the middle of the station on top of your office. I'm pretty sure he knows what's going on. So it's not like you don't know what the deal is.
It does need to be noted, though, they have been actively, since the incident, reviewing policy as the Board of Ed. And that was said at the meeting when I was there. They have been reviewing the policy. And yet the pile-on came. Did you listen to the public portions?
I listened to some of them. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but I did listen to.
It's hard to hear.
My video was, but it's available on the district website if you want to circle back and go listen to the first and the second public portion.
What I was trying to say before is that these kids have to go to school tomorrow knowing that unless all these kids were caught, they've got knives on them and they have absolutely no problem stabbing another child. I have a problem with that. I have a serious problem with that.
Lisa, they're already all over Snapchat talking about it, all over Instagram talking about it.
We don't need SROs, right? We don't need other guards and security at the school, but it's okay. We've got kids walking around in their backpacks with knives, getting ready to just stab somebody because whatever. It's disgusting.
I'm sorry, if we have security.
We don't know if the knives are in school. We don't know how that
works. I said on them. I didn't mean in the school. Unless they ran home to grab it off the kitchen counter.
Well, we don't even know if it was a student yet.
Oh, yeah.
That's all speculation on the boards right now.
Mm-hmm.
Listen.
We know there was an incident. We don't know who. We don't know. We know nothing.
If I have to walk into my 7-year-old's primary school and have the nastiest security guard interact with me, you better believe in the high school, I need to have that as well. Because, when you walk into country with not all the security officers, but there's this one particular female, she is super nasty. And if I have to deal with that for K through 12, K through 2, you damn right I want officers, I want security, I want everything in the high school because look what happened. Who's going to help? These teachers the teachers are there to teach. Who's going to hold the students accountable? Yes, we have deans. Yes, we have teachers that may be able to handle children that have aggression problems. But in reality, in a high school, you need an officer or two, and you need security guards.
These same people that are demanding we get rid of our SRO program were the same people who demanded more security after the Parkland shooting. Okay?
You can't have it both ways.
I know. I saw it with my own eyes. I was there. I saw it. It's really.
And what exactly are they claiming Drew did that was so bad? Because I've read and I don't see what's the problem is.
He did his job. They called. Everybody's going based off, and I got to tell you, even the kids that were speaking on the record, they treated the New York Times article and every accusation in there as actual evidence. That this is the evidence. This is all the evidence. There's nothing more that I couldn't possibly know, and I'm going to base judgment on that.
That's crazy.
They would come. He was suspended, or not suspended. He was written up because he wrote the area code of his country and what they're calling the Blue Devil. You didn't see the doodle. You don't know what he wrote. You don't know if that's, and because he was wearing blue shoes. That's what the New York Times article says. No one has seen, and nor will they see, and nor are they entitled to see the paperwork exchange about the incident reports.
Incidences, possibly.
Incidences.
And a judge, like you said before, will not deport somebody, God forbid, in New York in a doodle and a blue shoe.
We're giving them all insurance. Why? They're not going to deport you over sneakers. Are you kidding me? And none of it makes sense. It doesn't make sense, and it's completely turned this town upside down.
And they want to raise money and bring Alex back. They want to go there and bring him back.
Fund me.
Oh my God. Oh my God. They're crazy.
This is where we're at right now. And the kids are saying that a lot of, and I'm going to say it the way it was said at the school board meeting, the Hispanic kids are scared to have an SRO in the school, and therefore they want him removed.
Right, because they're afraid that Officer Drew walked around all day and just targeted them. So asinine, so ridiculous.
What is the demographics as far as ethnicity in the high school?
Oh, I'm glad you asked that. Actually, city data. It's actually alarming how quickly it's been going up. If you give me a second, let me get the link, okay? Because I believe that the Hispanic population is now at 48%. I want to double check my numbers, but they are the Hispanic population is now the majority at Huntington High School.
With just 48%?
Oh, yes, because you got to take into account also our Black population, which is other. It is low. Let me get the numbers for you though. Hold on. Let me go to city data. You guys chat while I find this.
Trying to understand how I would have to know the demographics of the area before, you start making demands that you don't want an SR officer, but just because of a certain ethnic group. I don't understand that part. You don't get to determine my child's safety because your particular group feels threatened.
Hispanic enrollment in our district is now the highest, 48% Hispanic, 40% white. When you compare just 2014 till now, you see the number, you see it increasing. All right, let me get the link. That's just the notes with the discussion I was having with a friend over it who gave this to me. But yeah, city data, she's very reliable. I'll get the link.
It's to me, it's just, this is not Latino. New York is not, this is just not for Latinos. We need to establish that. While they may have the upper hand in regards to numbers, we cannot just cater to them. And let's be honest.
Safety's for all of us.
Exactly. So when you start telling me because Latino children don't want him, I'm so sorry you feel that way, but I need my children to be safe as well.
Right.
If you're not in a gang and you're not a bad kid, you're not getting into trouble, you're not some punk who's bullying other kids, and if you're not a bad kid and doing bad things, you shouldn't have a problem.
Well, that's the thing. They all read and believe this article that you can now get deported for wearing blue shoes.
I know, it's so ridiculous.
All right, New York State data.
That's just, I don't understand why you would even think like that. But then again, I don't know who, it's just.
And then the other thing in the article, they were saying that there was with this Operation Matador, that there was a handful or a dozen kids. Why did Alex get deported and why didn't the other ones? Well, maybe they should ask a judge. Maybe they should ask that judge why. Not that they're going to get, you know.
Demand an answer.
I just, you know, I'd rather be safe than sorry when it comes to things like that.
Are you ready, Dana?
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay, I'm bringing you there, girl. Here we go. Huntington School District. Whoops, I got to go to the other screen or my thing doesn't move. 47.4% Hispanic or Latino. 2% Asian or Native Hawaiian. 40% white. 8.1% Black or African American. And 2.5% multiracial.
Wow.
Let's compare that to Northport. I'll compare that to Northport because somebody was running their mouth on Facebook about Northport because I think they were talking about what they were trying to do, but they don't even have close to the issues that we're dealing with. Here we go. Watch this.
I think they got more than a drug problem than a gang problem over there.
85.6% white.
How much?
85.6% white.
Wow.
8.6% Latinos. 2.7% Asian. 2.3 multiracial. And 0.8% Black. There's more dang.
Wow. Oh my God. Dang. What about Whitman?
You want me
to South Huntington?
Whitman? All right, let's do Whitman. Hold on. This is interesting, isn't it?
Damn, I had no idea.
That's going to be South Huntington. Let me go to the S.
Yeah, South Huntington.
Jeez. By the way, we also have the highest level out of all the school districts in Huntington of reduced lunch program in our district. Okay. South Huntington, 41% Latino, 42.7 white, a little bit more white than Hispanic,
a bit more,
7.4% Black or African American, multiracial 2.7. Oops. And all the Asians are over there, huh?
Yeah.
I was wondering where they were. Look at that.
That
Wow.
Very, very, very interesting.
Oh.
But looking at the back of my son's graduation shirt from 2 years ago, I can see that that's true. Yeah. Wow.
So yes, in Huntington School District, the Hispanics have the majority out of, So now they have the majority and they feel they're being racially profiled and get rid of that police officer because they want to deport us.
So if they feel that we should have a Spanish police officer, we have a Spanish police officer and a black officer and a white officer, they're okay? We're all right? They can protect our children?
Yeah, they should just send one of each. This way nobody
profiled. Shut them up.
That'll be the solution because what we need is safety. Safety is an issue.
And Officer Drew never had a problem with it. Never, ever, ever in all over a decade. For a decade.
We've had our district under control. So remember we had shootings and a lot of people we had an active shooter. That's why Jack Abrams was closed. We have done everything to fix this situation. That was back in July 21st, 2010. Was it July?
July.
No, that's when we had our march.
2017.
That's when we had our march, but there was incidences. There was a girl that was shot on the playground, and then there was a shooter that was running. It was before, you know where the community garden is?
Yeah.
The reason the community garden is there is because it used to be woods, but that's where the shooter ran from Jack Abrams when the buses were coming out and hid in the woods. And the community would get rid of the woods, and we put the garden there.
From 2007, from when my daughter was in high school, she was a sophomore. 2007. And that's when I started paying attention to the influx in gang violence, all these new gangs popping up, you know, black gangs, white gangs, Spanish gangs, all these new gangs that made no sense. That's when I started paying attention, and I couldn't believe how many gangs were in town. Some fizzled out, some more dangerous ones popped up, so on and so forth. But since 2007 in this town, in District 13 and 3, there have been multiple shootings, multiple stabbings, beatings, you name it.
And it wasn't like that. It wasn't like that. Kids would fight in the hallways back when my husband was in school.
No.
Okay, the kids are smoking pot, maybe. This was not happening.
When I was in Walt Whitman High School, you never even heard the word gang unless you heard, look at it, we're going to be a big gang of friends going out. I mean, you never heard the word.
I mean, there were kids that you knew were trouble, that you go out and you get in fights at the bar, but you'd punch somebody and then you'd go get ice cream.
Yeah.
No You're guns, not going to stab them.
No machetes.
Cutting people.
Oh my God. You beat somebody up. You had a fist fight in the middle of the road and then you were over it. Yeah.
This is not okay. And I'm sorry, but it comes at really bad timing with what's going on nationally. It's just the truth. The immigration debate is right at the front. The government's shut down right now. And it's just the perfect storm for right here for us. This is not going to go away. It's not going to go away. It's going to tear this community apart again, because
they want open borders and open school doors, and I don't think anybody should be okay with that. And I think everybody should take the stick out of their rears and think about what they're really saying. Do they have a clue?
No. Okay. So, and another thing, Alex was 19, and he
19 years old in school with 15.
He was 19 in commingled with 15 years old, because in New York State we are required to educate. And it's funny, somebody had said to me the other day about how, my kid says there's no gangs in the school because they don't come to school. They're gangs. MS-13 wouldn't go to school. Of course they do. That's where they recruit and sell drugs. Of course they do. That's how they commingle themselves into the community to get to know people. Of course they do.
Yep.
That's how you strike at the heart of a community.
I was told, and I witnessed them recruiting up at Stimson Junior High School.
This is a New York State law, and it's a flawed law. And now that we're giving everybody insurance, only if you are here illegally, I don't see them changing it. That we should not be, because that's really a law. I mean, it applies to help get them up to speed with language. It really was like meant to be a special ed law to educate children with special needs up to 21. But they have redone it now to include the illegal population, because if you're here illegally, you have to be educated. So what's happening is, I want you to understand this. We have children that have been raised in the suburbs. They're soft. These kids are soft. That's why they're called soft targets. They want to think they're tough, but really when you get out in the real world, you're going to see you're not really that tough. And now we're bringing in kids who have seen murder, who have seen rape, who have been raped, who have possibly been involved with murders, who have seen it from people around them or done it themselves, because that's what happens in these countries that they're coming from. And we're commingling with us at their older ages. They're tough as nails at 8 years old. How do you think they are at 19? Mixed in with your 15-year-old who probably never even had a broken bone. Because you've kept your kid. No, you didn't keep your kid in a bubble. You raised your kid in the best place you wanted to find. You paid a lot of money in taxes to go to the best schools so that this wouldn't happen. And now it's being brought in to you.
It's a lot.
I've had enough. And I don't know what to do with that, because we've been fighting so long. We made so much progress locally. And now, because of a New York Times article And now this incident. If that New York Times article had not happened, Officer Drew would not have not shown up at school. I don't even know what happened there. Nobody knows if he was fired or nobody knows. And you know what? Not knowing is leaving room for rumors also.
How could they fire him?
I don't know. I don't know if he was fired or if he didn't show up or if because we can't fire him. He works for the police department. He's not
showing up to other schools or just not Huntington?
That's a good question because he was a shared officer.
Right. He spent lots of time at Whitman as well, and Stimson. So I'm wondering, is it just not Huntington because of the incident or is he not at all?
And then right after that, boom, we have an incident. It's not at school grounds. I know a lot of people are going to say not at school grounds, but allegedly it's possibly more than one incident and it involves students, allegedly 15 to 16 years old, according to rumors on social media of people who know these kids. So I don't know what to go by at this point, but there's this is right now everybody's reality. This is what their reality is right now.
So as we speak, these alleged kids.
You know what? It doesn't matter whether it's true or not. Everyone is treating it as if it is. Just like I said, when those kids showed up to the school board meeting, the evidence in the New York Times article, that was all the evidence there was. And I cannot believe that this kid got written up just for this. It could happen to me too. And that's why we can't have this police officer in our school because I can't wear blue shoes. And it was said pretty much like that.
Right, because of a doodle.
It is still, yeah, and everybody said it too. Because he doodled. So no, there was something more there, but it doesn't matter because people are only going to go by the information they have. Mm-hmm. They're going to react the same, and the end result's going to be the same. You have a community uprising now.
But if Officer Drew was simply doing his job, that is, and every job has a job description, how could they be angry with him? If they don't like what transpired, go look and see what his job description is. Who put that in place? Start there. To remove him from a school, to me, I have a hard time with that. I really do. I have a hard time with that because let's face it, I don't care how you want to sugarcoat it. I don't care if you want to be politically correct. MS-13 is a huge Latino gang. We have a huge problem.
And a huge Latino population.
And from my understanding, when we did our research on this whole thing after Frontline, they recruit anybody. They don't even just rely on the Latino kids. So I don't want my children to have to interact with somebody like that, but at least I would feel a little bit more comfortable if there was an SRO officer just in case something happened. Who I know my kid could run to him.
Okay, so what happens if we get rid of him because you need to be politically correct, and now all of a sudden some crazy white guy on SSRIs decides to come shoot up your school? Now what? Because that's a reality.
I would strongly suggest that the people, especially the parents, get together and see whoever's voice is the loudest, of course, will be the most effective. And while the Latino population may have the upper hand in the numbers, I'm not sure if they have the upper hand as to exactly who attends the meetings and will go all the way with it. I would strongly suggest that is something that is fought, because if it comes to school district 13, I will be the first to say I will be in the forefront of that fight. Oh, you would have to give me a concrete. I would have to see so many things before I would ever agree not to have an SRO officer at the high school.
We shared Officer Drew for a reason. It's because we've always shared all of our problems. So for anybody to say that we don't have shared issues within our neighborhood, whether they're in our schools or not, they're fooling themselves. We do have issues. It may not be the school's place to handle them. That's why we have an SRO. They are the liaison between the school and the second precinct. It's exactly why that was set up.
Like I said, to me, if it ever comes to 13, where they try, if he's thrown out of his position, but because of what somebody said in the article, yeah, you want to see how quickly certain people unite, mess with their kids, mess with their money, mess with their taxes, and you'll see how fast certain people unite just to fight one common cause. You cannot justify, to me, including even if you want to say it's racial profiling, because we don't have enough information to put everything out on the table. We need an SRO officer. We have too many instances at these schools all over where these people are going crazy.
We need more than one.
And that's another thing. They talk about just harping on Drew. Maybe if they had more than one and he wasn't spread so damn thin, maybe this would have never occurred.
After the Parkland shooting and they had the march, I went to those meetings and I spoke with Mr. Polanski and we did a show on it after. Remember? Because they're saying, oh, well, Governor Cuomo wanted to give you guys armed guards and you didn't want it.
Right.
Remember what that was? That had nothing to do with it. It had to do with they didn't give it to South Huntington because South Huntington had Chad at the time, who was an assemblyman, lobbying to make sure that that school didn't get any negative press because, as we know now, his best friend Elliot is in real estate. Don't think it's not all connected. Okay, so we ended up, they wanted to force the armed guards on us, and it had nothing to do with giving us school safety. It had to do with being an optic for Governor Cuomo. Right after that, he went to Puerto Rico. Remember that? Hopped over to Puerto Rico to help with Hurricane Maria. So that was, this guy was just trying to get himself in the news because he wanted to run for president in 2020. Those were the rumors at the time, and I believe it. He was making really stupid mistakes. He never told the school, you're getting an armed guard. He had a press briefing and said, you're getting it. He never asked our school's permission. He never had a conversation. That's why our superintendent addressed it, because there was no, like, you could have picked up the phone. You could have called. You called all the politicians and put them together for a press briefing. So no, we don't want your armed guard because we never even had a conversation and you never allowed us to vote as a school district about having armed guards on our school grounds.
Yeah, but your superintendent, he's not right, because when it comes to this gang issue, I have witnessed myself with my own two eyes, and I can see perfectly, and I have perfect hearing. We were at community conversation, not once, not twice, but 3 times. He is adamantly denying that you have gangs. And there's another.
No, he says we don't have gangs in the school.
They all do. I think they all have.
They all do, but let me explain why. We have gangs in our communities that have to go to school.
He said you don't. And then when he was challenged by a lady named Helen Boxwell, he got so flustered. His attitude was that he doesn't, we're not going to address certain things because we don't have gangs. But if you don't have gangs, why did you worry about what color his shoes were? Why did you worry about the doodle? Because in my opinion, if I see a kid walking down the street on my block with blue shoes, I don't associate that with MS-13.
I don't either, but that's what the New York Times reported. We don't know what other information was made. You don't know what was in those incident reports.
That's what I'm saying. So he needs to.
Yeah, you're right, Dana. If there's no gangs in school, then why are you looking for them? I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
And that's because you have to look for signs of gang activity that you then report to your SRO. It's required.
And if this happened 2 years ago, these community conversations just took place in 2018. So you knew 2 years ago, because he was deported because of the information that he got from your school, you knew there was gangs. So that lets me know that you are fully capable.
And then there was a lawsuit.
But he's fully capable of standing in front of everyone and lying. I don't know about you, but I'm not comfortable with a superintendent like that.
I wonder if that comes down to legal liability. I don't know the reasoning. All I know is
quiet.
We do not exclusively have gangs in our school. We have gangs in our community.
Period.
And some of those gang kids go to school. They go to your school. They go to my school. I don't think they're in Northport. but I could be wrong. But there's not a lot of rentals there, and that explains it. This is what you're going to get with the type of housing and the rentals that we have. And that's what they do. Think about it. Allison Court, where this incident was alleged to have happened, which is right behind Burger King in the Big H shopping center. It's notorious for pious rentals all down that street, and it's always been an issue. That street's always, when we had a problem back in 2010, when it really hit its peak back then, and it was like helicopters in the air every weekend. Yeah. It was always coming from Sector 220B, which is that area. The police had to name it a subsector because that's where all the crime was coming from, and it was all around the Jack Abrams School, all of it. So let me ask you this. This incident happened on Allison Court. Do we now say there's gangs in Jack Abrams STEM School? Because that's not true. But there's gang activity around it.
How do we know it's not true?
Well, that's true. I mean, because they're little, but you're right. You're right.
That gang when they're like, in grade school. So how do we know they don't
exist? You're right. You're right. This is a different type of child. They're more worldly. They've seen much more at a much younger age. They are not, as much as people want to say, oh, I feel so sorry for the children. They're not like your children.
Well, what about these children that come over here illegally, and they're not only are they undocumented, but they have no family. Who picks them up? The gangs become their family. So how do we know at what age, like you said?
And here's the shame of it too. There's also some really, nobody's saying 48% of our population is a problem, and nobody's saying all the Hispanics are gang members. Nobody's saying that, because like you said before, they're recruiting some of the black kids, they're recruiting some of the white kids, they're selling the drugs to some of the white kids for sure. No doubt. There's equal level of involvement here. But I think I have to say, because somebody's going to take it and run with, we're all against the Hispanics. No. There's some really great Hispanic families in our district. In fact, the majority are, and their kids are phenomenal. I'm at the high school with them in the activities. Great kids, great opportunity. Yes, I have children who come to my house, and I know that they are not here legally. No, I would never, you just gave me a thought. So when you join Huntington Matters, June Margolin goes through your photos and your profile, and if she sees anything that looks like she's suspicious, she reports you to the police.
That's crazy. Really crazy.
What type of shit is going on?
No, it's not funny, but it's
no, I can
you're gonna just go, oh, June, we only got 15 minutes left. We better get this Huntington Matters thing out of the way. The people in this town need to take this group down, or I have an alternative for you. You need to restructure your group and allow open meetings. You cannot ban people in this community. You need to allow membership, and you need to allow a way for that membership to vote for the leadership. If you're going to be speaking for the people in this town, especially in nationally, the New York Times, you brought us national disgrace. You gave this, I'm just floored with everything I learned. If you print it, it's 26 pages, and it's June Margolin, the person who speaks for Huntington Matters, right? Then I think Matt Harris is thrown in there for good measure. Xavier Palacios. It's like they all couldn't wait to be interviewed. Oh, I just can't wait to see my name in the paper, and Huntington Matters would be so good for our group.
Yeah. And they called it a civic group.
They called it a civic group. They're not. They used the membership from their Facebook page, and sorry, I'm going to say it. If you're on their Facebook page, you're being represented by them, and you're allowing it.
I just want to piggyback to something you said, because I don't want no crap to come down, because it usually does if we don't clarify certain things.
Let's clarify.
This is not an attack on the Latino community.
No.
Let's be clear. I'm sure everyone has Latino friends. I personally have Latino blood relatives, and I have Latino, of course, other friends as well. So it's never that.
My son is half Spanish.
Hi.
Hi.
I heard about that. So it's not, don't try to make it out that this is to bash Latinos or to get on one. This is about the safety of our children. And I'm more concerned with a group of people that are concerned with what someone else did without addressing the issue of the actual violence or the actual gangs.
Do you know
worry about one incident? Worry about the overall safety of the school.
But Dina, to that point, who's more likely to be hurt by the gangs? The Hispanic population. So this shouldn't be a racially motivated conversation. This is about safety.
But I feel like it's going there.
Of course.
I feel, because I've heard people like to use inflammatory words, and it comes out wrong.
It does.
And people, and it's very hard for humans to understand. It's not what you say, it's how the person you're talking to interprets what you're saying to them.
No, unfortunately, that's
so it's like,
I'm not responsible for how you interpret what I say. I'm not.
That would be great.
That's called being offended. And that's the society we have shifted towards.
Yeah.
People love being offended.
And that's, because I've definitely stayed quiet about a lot of these issues, because it then turns into
shitstorm.
A race. I call it race baiting. That's what it may not be the proper term, but then that's how I take it. So I just try to stay clear of it. But I was concerned when you tell me Officer Drew was not in the school. I've known Officer Drew since like you just said, my organization gave him an award.
I know.
He's done, I'm sure he's not perfect, but he's done a lot for the community. He knows the children. And before we crucify him, let's take a look at what his job description entailed. Now, was he required to do X, Y, and Z? Then you can't fault the man for doing his job.
It's crazy, right? This is just a society we're in. They read something online, they react, and they destroy.
That's so crazy to me. The same thing happened with the Golden Dolphin.
Yeah.
That man was accused of I don't know what, and then the last I heard that they're closed down. Damaged his reputation, and it wasn't even true.
And he didn't get his day in court. Just no, he's guilty. Because I know people have such an overinflated ego of what they think they know, that they have the facts, and they have to go fix this for society and get rid of it. That's where we're at.
I don't know. I mean, I'm Officer Drew is not, not the be all, the end all, but I rest a little bit more easier knowing that he is at least around patrolling.
You know what? He knows the kids, but I'm concerned that we're going to get rid of an SRO at all.
Exactly.
And let alone that it's somebody who already has a relationship with all the kids, whether it's good or bad. And I got to tell you, if you're having a bad relationship with Officer Drew, maybe you need to think about yourself. Maybe you need to think about what you're putting out there that's creating this situation. Because for the most part, he has 99 point what percent. How much? You hear very few reference. You hear very, very few. And we live in a very I'm offended society. So they're going to pull that race card. Think about it.
There's no race card to pull.
There's a race card. The term race card exists for a reason, because there are people who use it.
Yeah, but
there's so many comments online saying Officer Drew is a racist. Huntington High School is a racist. It's ridiculous.
Well, people, because there's no evidence. I mean, you could easily get the record of a cop. That's not hard. And Officer Drew, I'm sorry. I've had, a few encounters with him through my organization. Yes, I've never had, and I'm not saying that he's never had any issues. I've never heard anything, and I've never experienced anything with him. But again, I'm more comfortable with an SRO officer, even if it's not Drew, around, because have you seen some of the security guards we have? Like, some of them are like 90 years old. What are you stopping? You can't even walk.
We're really at Huntington. I have to tell, like, one thing I've been doing this week when I've been at the school is thanking our security guards, because they took so much crap this week. Well, probably much longer. It's been a year, and now we kicked it up a notch again, right? And it was right before we came back from break, right? Was it right before Christmas? Because I went into a little bubble. I had my family here with holidays and stuff, but I think it happened like right then. And then when we came back to school from break, no Officer Drew. And these security guards at the school, don't think that there's not parents that are actually interacting with them, and not in a positive way.
Wow, that's insane. What are they thinking of that? What are they thinking?
So I went out of my way to make sure they're not at all old. We have a great security team they're just pleasant, nice, great people in our school. And I've never had anything but nothing. And come on, you live in this town. If there was an inkling of any type of impropriety from him, this town, pitchforks and torches, it would be over.
That your school sounds great, because my school's not like that. Our officers are not. Some of them are really old, and I'm nervous, because what are you going to stop? My son is 6'3". You think you're gonna, at 70 years old, you're gonna stop somebody that's 6'3", or 10 kids that are 6'3" and better? No. What are you gonna do? How do we protect them? I don't understand. And why would why? I never understood people who offend people that essentially are helping your children every day. Your children have to interact with those security officers. You want to treat them bad? That's not a smart move. That's not a smart move at all. I don't know. This whole topic is just very... I think everybody's on edge because of the national news that's going on. On top of this, it's just bonkers.
This was a perfect storm. That's what was the first thing I said to you guys. I was like, wow, perfect timing, huh? Like,
as if we're not divided enough for whatever reason.
Yep.
Now we have this. So that could be even, because they will correlate the deportation of that child with the current issue with the border wall. Somehow they'll try to intermingle one another. Mm-hmm. And I could see the handwriting on the wall. I don't know how we're going to weather this storm at this point in time, because that's exactly what it is going to be. Yep. And it almost feels like it already has a racial undertone to begin with, just because of some of the words I've heard.
Well, of course.
Yeah, we don't need that. We really don't need that.
Even if it was just white people, there would still be racial undertone. It would be spun somehow, because identity politics is at the forefront of everything. It is. Oh my God. Did you see Pat's post? Pat Deegan? He's like, oh yeah, I'm putting my hat in the ring. I'm going to run for town board.
Oh, right.
And Cheryl came in and told him that he can't, because basically he's a white man. And
he's white. We don't need any more white people on the
Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait.
I know.
What?
Yeah, we don't need any more white people.
It's totally said.
Mm-hmm. Totally obnoxious.
Wait a minute. Tell me what happened now. I'm sorry, because I think I missed that.
You did? Okay.
I have to have missed that.
Oh, it's on Patrick Deegan's wall. And he had said that he was going, in fact, he made another post after she said that and tagged like 48 people in it. And he was like, well, this just happened. Can we have this as a discussion item? And I had to explain to Cheryl, like, you may not want to hear that, but that is not only sexist, but it is racist to tell
what did she say?
They can't run. And she goes, on today's client, no, you can't. Like, he doesn't represent diversity. It doesn't matter. Let him run. And if people vote for you, that's how it goes. And if you want to put forth people who have darker skin or have a gender because that's what you want to run, then let them run too and let the people decide. But you don't have no right to come in and tell this guy he can't run because he's white and a man.
Doesn't Patrick have some type of disability?
I'm not at liberty to just. I don't know the details.
So he has diversity. I can't. People need to really. That's what annoys me. People really need to know what the term diversity means. It irritates me when people think it's either white or black. Diversity means diverse, you dummy. It means anything that is out of the norm. Having some type of disability, you're considered to be diverse.
Well, it doesn't matter. We shouldn't have to find a box and check it. Anybody is entitled to run.
We did. You can't. Like, what are you thinking?
But we don't need to go look for boxes. Anybody is entitled to run that wants to run. The people get to choose when they go to vote. That's how this works.
But you can't use.
And I told her, I said, Cheryl, change that to black and tell me if it sounds racist. Because if you change that to black and it sounds racist, guess what? It is. I was very upset and I had to back out because when I had to pull out, I have a Spanish son. What are you saying? And I said, you know what? The fact that I had to pull out a race card of my own to prove I'm not a racist, I'm done having a conversation here tonight.
Did she say you were a racist?
Well, no, it was this other guy who came into the conversation. Corey, you know Corey. He was on Michael's team. Michael, who ran for he's the black black guy. Corey. He jumped in and we started getting into a little spat about it. And that's why I was like, you know what? The fact that I felt I had to come to your side of the argument and pull out, oh, well, I have color too. You know, like Elizabeth Warren, I'm one in 2024 Indian. No, I'm not going to play this game. I don't play identity politics. I vote for the best person.
Ignorant to make a comment at all.
Yeah.
Ignorant to make a comment at all.
At all.
You want to run, you want to run. Whoever else wants to run, you run against and amongst each other. What the hell
I completely disagreed with Matt Harris and his reasons about why he wanted to run for school board. But I want you to know I believe in everybody's right to run. And I signed his paper for him to run. Ultimately, he did not, which I'm glad because I didn't feel he was running for the right reasons. And I like the person who, I support the person who did get elected. But the fact that I would have never voted for him, I disagree with him politically, but I was still willing to sign his paper for him to run, speaks as to where I stand for that. Anybody has the right to run.
And that should have been, the statement. Anyone has the right to run. Because when she puts words like diversity in there and then you're just making it because
it makes it a joke.
Come on. Then that's when the race comes into play because there's so many uneducated people when it comes to, look in the damn dictionary.
And it becomes black and white. Meanwhile,
and I'm tired of that.
No, you just call our student population. Yeah. The true minority is the Asians.
We have racism in this town. We have, issues in this town. We do.
Big time.
That's the. We don't need you to add fuel to the fire.
Damn.
And Pat should have definitely. I wish I saw that.
I did. I put it up there and I said, let me tell you, you start getting into this issue of identity politics. I said, Cheryl, you're a white woman. They're coming for you. And I showed her that the Women's March in California had just been canceled because it was too white.
Yeah, I know. I remember that.
I wish Pat tagged me in that post because
I know that's the first place you're going. You're going to go look.
I hate, we don't have to agree.
Right.
We can debate the fact that you like Jenny, you and I are a perfect example. You love Trump. I cannot stand Trump's politics.
We were doing just fine on your thread.
Yeah.
I blocked the person I had a problem with and I continued with you.
Yeah, we'll go toe to toe.
Right.
We don't have to be disrespectful.
Nope.
We don't have to bring in all this other garbage. You have your point of view. I have my point of view. Why it works is because when you speak, I listen. And when I speak, you listen. You take what you need. I take what I need. Why can't people do that? I don't understand. And then you got to throw these inflammatory words like diversity.
Well,
if
you know,
it's for fun,
all I said is we're getting the wall. And then I was a racist. So I was like, I'm only talking, see, and that's where you can't have civil conversations. You and I are fine. You're like, we're not getting a wall. And I said, we're getting a wall. And then you said, no, I'm not paying for the wall. And I said, yeah, probably, because I had to pay for stuff I didn't like too. But we went and we said, you know what? I can't wait to go out to dinner. That's how we ended it. I miss you. I haven't seen you in so long. When are we getting together to go have a couple cocktails? We had a civil conversation. We disagreed. We're adults. We didn't set each other's house on fire.
And this is we have that often. You know, we talk about things like adults.
Correct.
You know, everybody is hyper
sensitive. Yep.
And it's like enough already. Come on.
It's crazy. Well, you're not going to believe this.
What?
So we'll let everybody know what our date is going to be. I know I've been a little iffy with the schedule going on. I've been the problem. I think, Lisa, you were a problem once, and finally we were like, just wait till after New Year's. Too much.
It's a lot.
It was a lot. And then you had your family over. So we're just kind of, basically we're skiing and we're not good at it. And all skiing is falling down. It's controlled falling. So we are controlled falling down a mountain, trying to come to you on a regular basis, on a regular time. It's either going to be Tuesdays or Wednesdays. We'll let you know. But we're back.
Yes, we are.
With season 4, episode 1. What a humdinger this one was. Ooh. All right. Well, I hope things simmer down a little. And until then, I hope everyone has enjoyed tonight's Huntington View. Have a good night, everyone.
Bye, guys.